Welcome to an adventure. I am Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech. Some of you may be watching on the Rogan 27 channel and might know me on the interwebs as Rogan 27. I hope you're all having a good day. I hope everybody's having a good day. It's Wednesday here, which means it's time for Archival Adventures, and we're gonna look at things. We're gonna look at things that Sterling picked for us. Hi, Sterling. If you are in the VTUL Studios chat and you're not seeing the chats from the other people, that's because they're on the other channel. This broadcasts live to both channels. So I may respond to chats in either one. Hello Key Squared, hello NeoGets, hi Fluidan. Oh, Fluidan, thank you so much for the resubscription with Prime, no less. 20 months, amazing. Hi Stephen Joyce. And Sterling. Sterling selected the items for today, and I have not seen them. But they're from the archives, so they'll be interesting. I have been continuing to fiddle with the setup. I came very close to doing the co-star, or I forget, stream together, whatever they're calling it this week. I was doing some testing and I just couldn't quite get it figured out 100%. So we're still going with the setup I had before, but inching closer to that one. And once that one happens, it'll be interesting because we'll also be on YouTube. Sound is the best it's been in a long time. That is good to know. And you all can hear the music, right? This is now, I have a blue Yeti above my head. Indeed, it is jazz today. There wasn't like I didn't see a big band option. Otherwise, I might have done big band because what we're looking at today is World War II stuff. And big band would be appropriate. But yeah, I didn't see, there's like classical and jazz and folk, metal, dance, rock, hip hop, hype, happy, indie, chill lo-fi, and pop. There's not like big band. Hopefully I don't get in too much trouble. I've marked it, I marked the box that says YouTube safe, and then I still get copyright restrictions on YouTube. They're not dings. They're not, it's just somebody saying, hey, I own that song. But they're not like mad at me for using it, but still, I would prefer just nothing. Anyway, we should actually like get this thing moving, huh? Everyone just imagine that the Andrews sisters are playing. Indeed. Unfortunately, I can't play their songs because that would definitely get me in trouble. Not that it would, like, this is an educational purpose, like, it would totally be for use, but I would still get in trouble and then have to argue it, so, Exactly, Fluidan, this is fine. State of copyright in today's online world is fine, right? Okay, let's look at the history of the people that own this stuff that we're going to look at. Since we're talking history, it's important to just sort of pay attention to the history of Virginia Tech, which is where I am physically located. So Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tudelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that the Morrill Land Grant College Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities. Through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tudelo and Monacan peoples and other Native nations, we commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. Virginia Tech acknowledges that its Blacksburg campus sits partly on land that was previously the site of the Smithfield and Solitude plantations, owned by members of the Preston family. Between the 1770s and the 1860s, the Prestons and other local white families that owned parcels of what became Virginia Tech also owned hundreds of enslaved people. We acknowledge that enslaved Black people generated wealth that financed the predecessor institution to Virginia Tech, the Preston and Olin Institute, and they also worked on construction of its building. Not until 1953, however, was the first Black student permitted to enroll. Through inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to Ut Prosim, that I may serve. In the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. Trying to remember the title of a really interesting book on the Inter Sisters. Ooh, I don't know. I do continue to think that it is important that we pay attention to that history, which is why I read it at the top of every one of our streams. Technically today is Giving Day, but I did not have a chance to set up. If you do want to donate money to Virginia Tech, and you want it to support what I do here, you can find the Giving Day links on the Virginia Tech website, and there should be some options in there to donate to special collections in university archives. I don't have my own personal link this time, because I just didn't manage to get there. Yeah. I should maybe actually, open the finding aid, huh? Hey, Sterling, thank you. Yeah, last semester, I had my own special link, and I think Hannah got some playing cards as a thank you, but I didn't manage to get there this time. It sort of snuck up on me. So what we're looking at today, World War II scrapbooks. We have 3 collections that we have pulled today, or that Sterling pulled today. One is the Red Cross Surgical Dressing Unit from Pikeville, Kentucky. It's Scrapbook. A scrapbook with pictures relating to the Red Cross Surgical Dressing Unit during World War II, newspapers, and genealogical records from Pikeville, Kentucky. We have a German soldier's photographic scrapbook, a single photographic album compiled by an unidentified German soldier during World War II, found in Aachen, Germany during the post-war occupation, comprising 52 pages, contains 279 small format snapshots of wartime scenes, numbered but unidentified. The photographs portray scenes in Budapest, Slovakia, Russia, and probably elsewhere in Eastern Europe. I do not know how graphic those images might be, but just going to put out there that these are historical materials, these are related to World War II, and indeed we have some that were put together by a German soldier. So if you have sensitivities or needs, please take care of yourself first. Checked and didn't find anything graphic, but it's always best to err on the side of caution. Yes. And congratulations, NeoGets, on being selected randomly as a VIP for this stream. Enjoy the lovely VIP diamond for the stream. And then we have a British World War II scrapbook containing clippings and periodicals. Again, unidentified person, perhaps a member of the RAF. 260 pages. Most of the clippings relate to the air service. Many contain cartoons. That'll be interesting to see. There are a number of single-panel illustrations issued under the collective Identification with accompanying poems, probably clipped from The Aeroplane. Cool. And so in the there's a MooBot announcement there that it contains the link to this document, and this document contains links to the actual finding aids. So if you want to dig further into any of these 3 items, poke around in the finding aid or whatnot, feel free to do so. And I can, if you see something called out that you're like, ooh, I really want to see that, let me know so I make sure that I find the time to get it on stream. Yeah, identification, that was a really good word. I liked it. So let's cross my fingers and hope that, yeah, it has forgotten the camera. 1 second. I was doing so much stuff. We're just gonna get the proper camera functional again. Hey. I put a piece of black foam core down on the table because I found that the table surface was slightly more reflective than I wanted. And I don't have any preset zooms, so if I want to zoom in or out, I need to like physically manipulate the camera at the moment. But it's all a work in progress. And we're inching towards better. Oh yes, your terrible handwriting. This was prepared for the episode to point me towards interesting things. This is for episode 141. So the scrapbook, and the scrapbook. I mean, obvious. And I like the note here on the German photographic scrapbook. Particularly interesting because it shows soldiers typically in a leisure state, not common when picturing Germany in World War II. That's a good observation. And I don't know that I necessarily would have observed that on my own. So, if nobody has objections, I'm going to start in the order that they were listed. Which means I'm going to start with the Red Cross. And it is a box that is rather large. It's a large box. I don't know how large the things inside of it are. So bear with me 1 second while I try to open big item on smaller surface than I used to work with. Oh, it's not too bad. It's large box because of newspapers. That's fine. We can deal with that. Yes, large. Oh, you processed this one? So if you find errors in the finding aid, you know who to talk to. I tease. Oops. Hold, please. A box full of scrapbooks that had no connection to one another? Interesting. This cover is interesting. You can see the different airplanes. The V with the lightning bolt, is that supposed to be symbolizing victory? I'm not 100% certain. If anybody knows, like, I know a lot about like popular World War II, but specifically that V with the lightning bolt over the eagle, I don't know that symbology. It's nice to see the tank, the battleship, fighter plane, and then I I'm not 100% certain. I don't know airframes too well. So the dual, I don't think it's a bomber, but it could be. And for some reason, that shape, my brain wants to scream de Havilland at me, but I don't know for certain. I mean, they probably made one like that, but I would have to research before I would commit to calling it that. So yeah, the surgical dressings unit of the American Red Cross. I need this to not sleep on me, thank you. One moment. I have to run 2 machines in order to do the captions on both channels. And I don't have control over the wake and sleep of the machines because that requires administrator privileges. And that one likes to go to sleep when it's not been interacted with for very long. And so I was just trying to force it to stay awake, so that the captions will continue running on the VTUL Studios channel. Oh, okay, so opening this one's gonna be interesting. Because I want to make sure... I would prefer not to damage it. And it's a little fragile, and not just that, the way I have this camera set up, there's not a lot of extra space for page turning because it's fine. We'll learn. Looks like content is only on one side, which is helpful. Victory Sing. I love the stamp with the music and the US like highlighted. It's very much the patriotism of World War II there. Music inspires. Ooh, can we zoom in far enough to see what it says? Come on, focus. Service Industry Home School. Music inspires in the Service Industry Home School. School. Yeah. We're gonna just... New technology. Have to figure out the best ways to use it. It's the songs ye sing and the smiles ye wear that's a making the sun shine everywhere. James Whitcomb Riley. This is, I guess, was just get together and sing November 26, 1942 at the Wickham Chapel in Pikeville, Kentucky. Oh, nope, there's content on both sides. I spoke too soon. I'm not that worried. Oh no, we're blurred. Ah, much better. Women workers badly needed for surgical dressings project here. February 18, 1943. War Department urges more production over nation. Pikeville's Red Cross Surgical Dressings Project each month is turning out thousands of bandages for use on the battlefronts of the world. But in order to meet the heavy demand, the force of volunteer workers must be doubled. It was brought out here this week. A report from Mrs. Howard Jenkins, chairman of the project, reveals that at the present time, nearly 300 women are serving in the work. But that to meet the quota fixed for the county, a force of 500 workers will be needed. Meantime, the War Department, through the medium of National Red Cross Headquarters, has issued a statement urging bandage projects throughout the nation speed up their work, indicating there is an acute need for surgical dressings in the widely scattered service hospitals. Statistics on the project since its inauguration last September show that it has grown steadily. The quota for September was 9,000 dressings, and 7 weeks was required to fill it. The next month's quota, 16,000 dressings, required only 4 weeks. The project is still working on the November quota, which was 57,000. Oh gosh. In 26 days, the workers will have completed 30,000 dressings, or over half the quota. This week, 6 large cartons from Pikeville were mailed to the armed forces overseas. In January, 170 workers and 32 supervisors were engaged in the work. An appeal was made for help, and the response was such that a total of 300 women have been working so far in February. That's a lot of bandages. I mean, I'm sure, like, they actually needed that many bandages, but wow, that's a lot of bandages. Emergency call, blood plasma, surgical dressings. Every day, lists of wounded carry the names of Kentucky boys, Pike County boys. They must depend on us for first aid. Are we coming across? Is 5 hours a week too much to give? Our sons are giving 24 hours a day. We have made 100,000 dressings since October 12. We should make 64,000 more by March 31st. We have had an average of 50 workers a day. We need 100 workers every day. We can use more. Surgical Dressing Unit, American Red Cross. Weekly schedule, Monday through Saturday. 1 to 6 p.m., 7 to 10 p.m., and Sunday 2 to 6 p.m. So the workers were honored at Victory Sing, of which we have a program. The Victory Sing, Gay 90s Review, High School Auditorium, Pikeville, Kentucky. This is January 25th, 1943. Part 1 of the program, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Not exactly terribly surprising that. Pledge to the Flag, which is a thing that is done in the United States. If anybody from overseas is not familiar, like, there's a pledge to the flag. It's called the Pledge of Allegiance, and it has changed over the years, and it is spoken. The pledge is given to the flag, meaning the nation. Whereas in, say, Britain, rather than pledging to the flag, you, as I understand, pledge to the king or queen. But most people don't, and it's just people who are needing to swear an oath of loyalty for, like, service in armed forces or something that would actually make such a pledge. Pretty witchery, it kind of is cultish nationalism. But it is a thing that, at least, like, when I was in elementary school, every single day, first thing in class, like the very first thing every morning in elementary school, stand up and recite that pledge to the flag that was hanging in the in the room, and when you're that young, you don't think too much about it. But it wasn't until a couple of years ago that it even occurred to me that they don't do that in other countries. Anyway, invocation, a response, which is the Lord's Prayer, and then church's one foundation. So this Gay 90s Review Victory Sing is starting off like a church service, kind of. Reports on wartime activities, the hospital guild collections, salvage, Victory Sing war stamp sales, men in the armed forces, the school, the church, surgical dressings, and presentation of volunteer service. Introduction of John Steele Jr., Private First Class U.S. Marines. And then song, Keep the Home Fires Burning, and then a song titled Joan of Arc. And then Bicycle Built for Two, with the junior chorus, which I guess would be from the high school. And then Songs of the Gay 90s, featuring costumed chorus. I would not be surprised if that was like show choir. Based on costumed chorus, it was probably a show choir medley. 1943. It makes sense, but also, like, I never thought about show choir happening in the 40s. For what it's worth, in Australia, your Commonwealth never had to swear to anything, Queen or country. Occasionally you sang half of the anthem. As far as I know, the armed forces are pledged to the monarch on paper, but there's not a pledge done regularly. Yeah, that all makes sense. Here in Virginia, technically, the state is not a state. Virginia is a Commonwealth. Which... Who really understands the difference in the United States? The answer is pretty much nobody. And functionally, it's not terribly different, except that services that in other places would be done at the city level are done at the county level instead. Australia is a federation. You have Federation Day. That's cool. Is that swearing to the monarch or swearing at the monarch? I feel like given the habits of soldiers, the latter might be more common. T squared. I appreciate the humor. A song called This Is What We're Fighting For, and then Dixieland. Have to keep in mind this is Kentucky in the 40s, so Dixieland makes sense, I suppose. And then we get some credits. Volunteer service pins awarded. Okay. Oh, and then we get some photos. So this sort of get up I never thought of in the context of United States nurses. Like I know from various forms of media that like this sort of outfit was common for like British nurses in the 40s. But I never really registered that this was also done in the US. Because we tend to picture US nurses with a different style of nurse's hat. Without the little, I don't know what it's called. Is that, so you've got the hat part and then you've got, is that a wimple? What is the term for that? You had them in Australia too? That makes sense. Oh, maybe I'm misspelling it. Yeah. Cloth headdress covering the head, neck, and sides of the face. Formerly worn by women and still worn by some nuns. Your aunt was a nurse from the 60s. She wore them. And there's even one of her in wings. So, yes, the term for that cloth, it's a wimple. But yeah, I generally, in depictions of US nurses, even like in movies and such that are set in the 40s, I'm used to seeing nurses who have the hat but not the wimple. And I usually only see like the full getup with the wimple in depictions of British nurses from that time. So it just strikes me as somewhat unusual. And I learned from looking at these pictures that at least in the Red Cross in Kentucky, they were wearing the wimple. Nurses there were also called sister regardless of nun status. Interesting. You get your inevitable, all right, everybody gather together. We need the group photo. And interestingly, a lot of the people in this photo are not smiling. If you look at like the top row there over on the right side, like over here, they are not smiling. No, I mean, not that it was necessarily a happy thing, but I think by this point in time, it was common for photographers to request that you smile. When cameras first came into usage, it took so long to take a picture that you did not smile for photos, because that would have been exhausting. But by this time, cameras are fast enough that it was the convention to smile. This looks like photos of them working on the dressings. Hello, Puddle Glum! I hope that you are enjoying your work lurk. Work a lurk, work a lurk a lurk. This is, of course, the photo that was on the starting screen and in promotional graphics for this week. It just, in some ways, it feels familiar, especially after the last couple of years of like people gathering together to focus on medical stuff. But it also feels like it's from another age because they're all wearing wimples, and that is not something you see today. Early on photos were rare and expensive, yes. Enjoying the lurking more than the working today. We are we're looking at some scrapbooks from World War II. This one is from a Red Cross unit in Kentucky that prepared dressings to send out. Ooh. We have the black women joining in. Looks like they're gathered around their own table. But in the same room, interestingly, they're not in the group photos. Because, again, we have another group photo. And that's all the white ladies. We have another photo here of the women of color around the table working on making dressings. Even without like lots of text or like knowing who's in the photos, it's instructive just to sort of look and think about like who was included. That's like the fun photo, I think. I'm not sure. Looked it up to be sure, and by the 1840s, the time to capture a photo had gone down to 20 seconds. Yeah. But like early photos, a lot of early photos were of people in their coffin. Because they were easy to photograph because they didn't move. And so you would get a photo portrait of your deceased relative as a remembrance of them. And then when it started to be possible to capture live subjects, it still took a long time. And so you had to stay perfectly still and keep your face relaxed. Because smiling takes muscles. And to smile for the minutes that it would take to capture the photo would wear you out. So early photos are just flat face. It's not because they're angry. It's because it would have been exhausting to smile the whole time. Our earliest ones were camera obscura, which take a god-awful amount of time. Hours, yes. Which is also... plays into the sort of Victorian tendency towards spiritualism. Because the cameras at the time, it was really easy to get double exposure or to have like ghosting in the image if somebody shifted position, or you would get those sort of artifacts and people would point to them as evidence of the spirit world, when it was just that it took a long time for the photo to capture, and so any movement would register as like a blur across the photo. Daguerreotype took 20 minutes. Just thinking of the silver poisoning from working with daguerreotypes regularly. Let's see. What else? Got some more articles here. More Victory Sing programs. Ooh. Let's take a look at this one. Surgical dressings unit goes over the top. Record is set. Lighting is presently an issue. I'm just gonna shift my lights around here and see what I can do. Local women complete 203,400 dressings since October. Pike County Surgical Dressings Unit completed a sensational month last week by going over the top for the wounded servicemen. All lagging quotas were completed and July's quota was started on time. Since October 12, 1942, Pikeville has made 203,400 surgical dressings and is well on its way towards making the 39,000 allotted the county for July. During the month of June, 324 women worked 3,095 and a half hours and produced 35,150 surgical dressings. On June 29th, 2,625 dressings were made. This set a new record for one day of work. The highest number before that date were 2,050 on June 24th. The quotas, which were started 6 weeks late and have been completed, are September 1942, quota 9,054 days, completed December 5th. October 1942, quota 16,000, 35 days, completed January 9th. November 1942, quota 57,000, 42 days, completed March 2nd. Wow, so they got like a big push, and it was, they were well behind, and then suddenly just kicked out a bunch. There are 61 active monitors and supervisors whose job is to teach new workers the method of making dressings, check every dressing made, and prepare it for shipment. They have regular hours for work in one of the 2 workrooms in the city. Along with the monitors and supervisors, there are a number of active committees which keep the surgical dressings unit working smoothly. Mrs. W.E. Yost is chairman of the Headband Committee. Her committee keeps on supply at all times headbands, which can be bought by each new worker. The advertising committee is composed of 4 ladies, with Mrs. Peyton Hobson as chairman. Mrs. Hobson keeps the newspapers informed as to the progress of the unit. Mrs. Jack Hatcher keeps in touch with the churches each week. Mrs. Richard Wells and Miss Ruth Harmon are kept busy making posters. Mrs. Lee Ford is chairman of an absentee committee. Her committee contacts ladies who have registered but failed to return for some time. Bag packing committee. Interesting. Dressings get tied into bundles of 20 or 25, and then the bag packing committee packs them into bags. So, it's interesting. I'm gonna flip ahead. Ooh, this is good. Ingenious Red Cross dressing folder. Made by home craftsmen, speeds output of surgical aids. Device can be made by home craftsmen. Speeds output of surgical aids. A new accessory, which the craftsman can make at home for his local Red Cross chapter, folds surgical dressings 3 to 5 times faster than by hand. Invented by Philip W. Burnham, an engineer with E.I. DuPont, de Nemours and Company, is already in use by the Delaware chapter for folding dressings. All the rights, plans, and specifications have been turned over to the American Red Cross. In Delaware alone, the folder will, it is said, increase production by 150,000 worker hours. The device consists of a composition board base with 6 hinged flaps that are folded over with the gauze in the order in which they are numbered in the drawing, thus creasing the material precisely to measurement. After each operation, the flap is returned to its original position. The accompanying photographs show the steps taken by a worker as she folds a dressing. Gauze must be cut to Army and Navy specifications so that with accurate folding, the completed dressings can be packed to exact requirements. The folder is so easy to operate, however, that even children have no difficulty using it. Although construction of the folder is equally simple, all parts must be accurate to within 1/16 inch. Materials needed are 1/8" composition board, adhesive tape having a tough, washable coating, and a few staples. The board should be impregnated or tempered variety that will not shed particles that might become enmeshed in the dressings. The only tools necessary are an ordinary office stapler, shears, or a paper cutter, a hammer, a sharp knife, and a chisel. A chisel? Staple the strips to the board, or to the baseboard, using the flaps as spacing guides, together with strips of thin cardboard temporarily inserted to provide clearance. Then butt the flaps against the hinge strips and tape them securely in place, leaving the clearance at the other end. Dimensions given in the drawing are for a folder that will make standard 4" by 4" surgical dressings. Similar folders have been designed for making standard 2x2 and 4.5" by 8" dressings. Construction plans for them may be obtained from the Red Cross. I don't know why why is there a chisel? I don't understand. Stephen, I also want to know why the chisel. Number 1. The narrow flap, number 1, is folded over first of all. The corner of the gauze is mitered to conform to the specifications. Flap number 2 is turned over on its hinge for a second correct fold in the series. Under the left hand of the worker is a finished third fold. While step number 4, the next sequence, is being completed, the mitered corners may be seen here. Yeah, that's on 3. With the folding over of flap number 5, work on the dressing is nearing the end. It is finished with the 6th fold, which brings the dressing to the regulation size. It's basically... Today, like, you can easily go to the shop and get a flip fold to help you fold your shirts. And it's the same sort of thing, except that this is designed to fold things into... to fold gauze into a specific size of square. So yeah, once you show somebody how to use it, super simple to use. I don't know what the chisel is for. I guess because maybe the... Nope, I really have no idea. Oh, there it is. Children being able to do it. I mean, it's really neat that they had that. Why a chisel? It is the demonstration, like the picture here, that is much thicker than I was imagining. So maybe the chisel, maybe they had to carve out something in the baseboard, but I don't see that why that would be necessary. If you find a reason, Sterling, do let us know. Because uncertain. Oh gosh. I was just checking the time because we have 2 more scrapbooks to look at. So I'm gonna set this one aside. We can always return to it, but I do want to make sure that we get some time for the other scrapbooks. Alright, we're gonna challenge my pronunciation and go to Germany next. Because if there's any words, good luck to me. Belichtungstafel. Panatomic film. I don't know. I think this is something to do with developing film. Or, like, camera film. I don't know, though. Light strength table. Thank you, Fluidan! Ooh. I'm gonna be... I'm going to try and move the camera even closer, because these are very small photos. So, this is a macro camera, which is why I have it. I would love to be able to do more digital zoom with it, but at the moment, I'm not there yet. So physical zoom it is, but I can also get really, really close physically with the camera, which means we can look at small things. Oh, come on. I wanted you to stop the blurring. Apologize for the bouncies. I need to get some sort of stabilizer for this camera, I think, because it's too bouncy. This is only the second time I've ever used it, so yeah, 1A is just a snowy road, it looks like. I don't know that there are any labels. My guess is no. We got some people with a truck alongside that road. Is that... Are they prepping a snowball? It looks like they're prepping a snowball. The only thing you're finding are bone chisels. Maybe they were packed together? I don't know. I got the impression that the chisel was involved in making the flip fold board, but I can't understand why. It's... like... This picture here, with the snow-covered trees, the road, what I'm guessing is a telegraph pole, but it looks like a telephone pole. The little horse-drawn carts. This could easily be a picture from today in rural parts of, say, Pennsylvania. Or, yeah, it's just like... I say Pennsylvania because there's a lot of Amish communities there, so you're more likely to find the horse-drawn carriages there. That's not to say that that's the only place that you would necessarily encounter something, but like, just, it's so normal looking. Yeah, those are definitely telegraph poles. They have the giant glass insulators on top. I'm gonna flip through and see what we have to work with. I can do a zoom out. Woo! Alright. And I'm just gonna do some quick flips. because it was the seeing them sort of at leisure that we wanted to sort of focus on, I think. Oh, there's a couple here. It would be nice to know, like, whose scrapbook it is. It's so sad. So often, photographs, there's no context. Nobody ever wrote names on the back. Nobody, like, we don't know the date or exact dates, don't know the names of people. We don't even know who put this together. And it's kind of sad because it's like, while the photographs are interesting, they would have a lot more meaning historically if we knew who the people were. Almost makes me wonder if there's a database. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I know there are. Whether there's one specifically that these would be appropriate to, I don't know. Yeah, I have to find a solution for the bounciness of the camera, but glass insulators were still used on phone lines too, up through the 50s. Ah, that would make sense, Key Square. So those could have been phone lines. It's they're just relaxing around as people do. I suspect that this one was posed. I'm so thankful my great-grandma made notes at some point on all the photos she kept. Makes it much easier when going through and scanning them all. Get notes and divide it up by family now. Yeah. If you have photos and there is no writing on the back and you know anything about them, location, date, people that are pictured, if it's at an event, like what was the event, I encourage you to write that on the back of the photo. Same for like digital photos. I encourage you to have some sort of guide to your digital photos that includes that sort of information, because otherwise the photos lose a lot of meaning. Over time. That's a lot of people to push that car. Oh, wow. I don't know a whole lot, like, other than that these are photos and that this was compiled by a German soldier. I don't know much else. Ooh, I would just look for an archival quality pen, honestly, or pencil. You can use pencil. Um, but yeah, writing on the back. But generally, like, you'll find archival quality felt tips that are fairly easy to come by and not terribly expensive. Like the ultra fine tip Sharpies aren't terrible, but if you can go to an arts supply store and get actual archival ink for it, that would be better. Which just means it'll be less acidic and less likely to bleed. I don't know what a lot of this is that we're looking at, which is why I'm sort of... They're going uncommented. This is a very blurry photo, but those look like some sort of generator engines. I don't have any idea what this building is. That is very much an at-rest photo. Just hanging out. Must be a warm day. The dog's there, panting, hanging with them. Interesting. It's neat to see these. I wish there was more context for them, personally, but it's an interesting collection of photos. What's so fascinating about this scrapbook is that since there is no identification, it almost humanizes it. It leaves you to wonder if these people were conscripted or if they joined voluntarily. Well, and that's the thing. There's a sentiment. I can't remember the exact quote, but there's a sentiment in the play Copenhagen that essentially is just because my country has gone crazy, why would you think I would love it less? So it's the nationalism and love of country and the serving despite not agreeing because it is your country, and there's so many layers. And yeah, there were horrible people who were zealous about serving, but I'm sure there were also a lot of people that were just like, this is my country and it's at war and it's my duty to serve and I love my country and I don't necessarily agree, but I'm supposed to... Yeah, there are so many layers and so many motivations. It's hard to judge. But I mean, we do, as people, judge everyone with a broad stroke. But at the same time, if you dig down and look granularly at individual cases. Not everybody deserves that broad stroke judgment. Sometimes even with notes, you want more context, yeah. There are some like notes telling location. I think this is Slovakia. Yeah, just having a name doesn't necessarily tell you everything you need to know. I don't know for sure that this is the Slovakia. I saw Slovakia, but I don't know. No, this is, the last note was Budapest. So, presumably these photos are, from Budapest. But yeah, they are kind of, the photos themselves are not the sort of situations that we typically see the German soldiers in. Oh, come on, camera. You have autofocus, so focus. We don't see a lot of, like, German soldiers just, you know, sitting on a bench shirtless with a puppy or with a dog. Like, being human beings. Interesting. Yeah, this is a good find, Sterling. Once again, I'm not 100% certain why we have this. It's not really one of our collecting areas, but everything we have ends up being interesting in some way. We've got one more, which is the British one. So I'm gonna grab that and see what we do. It is big, thick book. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do something different with the camera in the future. I'm making it work for today, but I'm not happy with it. Thick book. Also, the spine is basically non-existent. We'll see. I might use foam. It might not even be necessary. Okay. The very first thing in this scrapbook. The city of the future is going to be comfortable, but it is going to be full of wrecked lives. Speaking to a group of building superintendents, Mr. D.A. Newton, an air conditioning engineer, said that the day is not far off when whole towns will be roofed over and air conditioned, like nightclubs. As we walk from one building to another, it will be along pleasant sidewalks or arcades, also completely air conditioned. He told a man from the Herald Tribune, "No rain, no wind, no slush, no gloom of night. We don't see anything in this but an encouragement to vagrancy and the breakdown of the family as a social force. Our theory is that the strength of the home is in direct ratio to the discomfort of the weather. A conclusion easily arrived at by comparing the simplicity of life in, say, Maine, where everybody has to hang around the stove, to the often bizarre preoccupations that are found in California and Florida, where you can stay out all year round with nothing but a silk muffler. Let science make the gutter as comfortable as the living room, and the divorce rate will triple in a decade. The home will be a fading memory, like the Conestoga wagon. After all, Louisa May Alcott didn't get the material for Little Women in Miami Beach. Oh, wow. Interesting way to start the journal. Or the scrapbook. Also, if you want... If we're gonna move from building to building through air-conditioned spaces, isn't that just a shopping mall? Invented in Minnesota. Unsurprisingly. Because who wants to walk outside in the winter in Minnesota? Let's see what this one says. With compliments, the Divisional Finance Office, C Division. Ooh. We get our first identification. The aeroplane. Identification 60. In Soviets' war-racked overcast, where Hitler's strength meets Stalin's might, a winged bullet flashes past, and striking hard compels the fight. Though we see revived again the bloody battlefields of Spain, the Huns this time have caught a Tartar, symbolized by Russians' Rata. Okay, there's a illustration of a Russian or a Russian Cossack with a sword cutting the tail off of a Nazi airplane. Identification 60. Political cartoons. Since it's already in pieces, this is actually easier to just look at the pieces individually like this. That you, Joe? How do you know who the person behind the gas mask is? One winter in Iceland and no better than a savage. Oh my gosh. Historical terms, please. Oh, the Rata is a cute little plane. I didn't know what a Rata was. That would make sense. The Rata being the little plane. Got it. Yeah, I'm not fond of that political cartoon, personally. This is the scrapbook from the British soldier. Identities 7. Colonel Colonel J.J. Llewellyn, CBEOBEMCMP, Minister of Aircraft Production. What are those? It looks like deer or gazelles or something being put through a rolling press? What is that? We're missing so many context clues of the time. Yes, we are. I'm just, what? I can't, I have no idea. And I don't have any idea who Colonel Llewellyn is. Political cartoons out of context are weird. Perils of the Trainee 4. Formation flying? It's easy. Yeah, don't. Oh dear. I could see why it's suspected that this is a RAF pilot. It's the back room boy, sir. He can't bear to leave his beautiful bomb. That reminds me of a Stanley Kubrick movie. Wow. Hello, brain. Dr. Strangelove, thank you. I had the subtitle in my head, but not the title. It just made me think of Dr. Strangelove. Or, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Identification 61. Oh, look at the eyes on the plane. The eyes and the mouth. First, it was the 17. Then they modified it, numbered it the 215. But subsequently tried it in a different form, which bore the labels 17Z. And now to help make matters worse, inside the spotter's head, the shape's been altered once again. The numbers also new. Behold, the 217. Dornier's latest, now on view. Yeah, key squared. J.G. Llewellyn. But it does say Minister of Aircraft Production. But that doesn't help me with what these are. They're like little devils or something? I'm not sure. Whatever it is, it looks like they're being put through rollers. Like being pressed. But I can't tell. They've got a little tail. They've got horns. Based on the facial structure, I'm feeling like maybe demon? But I can't tell. And I have no idea what that has to do with Colonel Llewellyn. So identification 66. Oh, they're really testing my Roman numeral knowledge here. Heat and sand, a thirsty land. Sweat in the kitty hawk's eye. Foodstuffs canned. The bare legs tanned. Strafing the Hun from on high. 6 guns for the road and a bomb for the park. And a 1,000-horse roar to chill the heart's spark. The plane. Okay, these illustrations are actually making me think of Thomas the Tank Engine. Just making the planes all have faces, and this one is sweating. Identification 70. LXX. Yeah, 70. Because L is 50 and X is 10. Huh. Those wings look backward. Conceived in happier days, for the passenger who pays, with many more horses, it serves with the forces. The ensign still flies in the skies. Judgment of those who might perhaps be suspected of looking with special favor upon something new. In outward form, the Mustang is not unlike the Messerschmitt. Something 109E, but has a more graceful body. It wears the fighter's white spinner and white band near the tail, has a thunderous roar, and sometimes whistles like a Spitfire. Its climb is phenomenal. It seems to rocket from ground level to 5,000 feet, with its nose only a few degrees below the vertical. After a fast dive, it can be rolled as it climbs. No, I'm not sure about dive. Not once or twice, but 5 times in rapid succession. It spins with the ease and facility of an elementary trainer. It has been looped and put through every other normal maneuver, but has revealed no something. In this, it resembles the Spitfire. In control, the Mustang is excellent. I don't know. The ailerons are light but effective, and the something are positive at all speeds. Interesting. Hello! We have a raid. There's a raid. Hi, raiders. Hi, 16-Bit Eric. Welcome. It is great to have you joining. Welcome, Whimsies. It is good to have you here. Warping in again. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very, very much. If anybody is here who does not already follow 16-Bit Eric, might I encourage you to do so. 16-Bit Eric has a wonderful, wonderful Twitch community. And 16-Bit Eric is a regular visitor to this show. Eric is a storyteller, does regular TTRPG games on the Twitcherverse, and hangs out regularly with his community, chatting about all sorts of things. He's a very knowledgeable person, and it's always a good time and very educational. I encourage you highly to follow Eric. You will not regret it. Today you were joining the wrong Star Trek Online mission? Oh dear. Welcome in everybody from Eric's stream. I hope that you were having fun. Today, well, if you're unfamiliar, you have joined a program called Archival Adventures. This is a weekly show that I do. You came in on the Rogan 27 channel, and indeed, I am Rogan 27. I am also Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist at Virginia Tech. And this is a show I do once a week where it's sort of like an unboxing of things from the archives. Most often, I've never seen them before. And we take a look at them together and see what there is. This week, I have 3 different scrapbooks from World War II. One is from the American Red Cross in Kentucky. One is a photo scrapbook from a German soldier in Europe. And one is this one, which is a scrapbook from a British soldier in Europe. And so that's what we're taking a peek at today. This one, it's suspected that it might be from an RAF pilot, Royal Air Force pilot, because there's a lot of like aviation stuff in the scrapbook apparently. But yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're taking a peek at those. So hopefully you'll hang out and have some fun with us. Maybe see some historical things. Yeah, welcome in everybody. There are a lot of like political cartoons in this scrapbook, and of course, understanding political cartoons from 60 years ago, not super easy. Also, I have no idea if I mathed correctly. It's probably more than 60 years. Yeah, I don't know what this one is depicting. Is that... Actually, this one's kind of interesting because I initially thought, based on the person at the top of the tower, my brain assumed that it was another thing about Russia, but actually I think it's more likely that this is Egypt or Algeria, like North Africa, with the person with the beard and the fez, because it looks to me like that is like the Muslim call to prayer happening. So I don't know the circling around with the planes. I don't really have any idea, but just trying to look at the symbology, it looks to me like this is probably Algeria or Egypt being depicted, and it appears like British pursuing German planes. So presumably something to do with the war in Northern Africa. I love Air Identities. Air Identities 11. Air Chief Marshal Sir Arthur Tedder, CB. Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, Middle East. So these are, I guess, caricatures of people in the Air Forces. And he's depicted with a camel because Commander-in-Chief in the Middle East. Air Identities 3, Air Chief Marshal Sir Charles F.A. Portal, KCB, CB, DSO, MC. I could probably take the time and figure out what all those abbreviations mean, but it would take way too much time. But they all have meaning within RAF, presumably. Chief of the Air Staff. Also, hi, Blue Rooster. Ooh. April 1st, 1950. Rad Virus X. April 12, sold Vicomatic for $50. Q and Ill. April 14, got to Amboy to buy typewriter. It's snowing. Got typewriter of... Is that 92 pounds 50? That seems expensive to me. Maybe... yeah, I don't know. $54 and second bull of a watch. Yeah, no, there's no way that's... It looks like it says 92 pounds 50. That seems really expensive to me. I like the identification ones. These are... Before you all got here on the raid, I commented that these sort of made me think of Thomas the Tank Engine, except that they're airplanes instead of trains. Identification 69. Yo heave ho, roared the mariner bold. There's a pirate down below. Blow me down, but I've got the swab cold, and with the rare cargo in my hold, I'll have him scuppered, scuttled, and hold. Belay there, you so-and-so. Cute little poems. So we've got the airplanes above, and they're noting It looks, there's a periscope of a submarine in the water below them. Identification 77. The lorries drive in one by one. A troop of tanks, a 6-in gun, a flock of jeep, troops in addition, gas, oil, the crew and ammunition. Commando flies them with facility, an advocate of true mobility. Blue Rooster, what does ASW mean? Like, I believe you that ASW plane probably, like, that makes sense, but I don't know what ASW stands for. Anti-sub warfare. Thank you. Yeah, these are cute. This is another good find, Sterling. That's $5 Bob you owe me. Because it flew through the tunnel? I'm very confused by this political cartoon, but okay. I'll take my compliment and sleep well tonight. I just hope that they... I hope that they give you funding so that you can be here next year too. Do not despair for Johnny Head in Air. He sleeps as sound as Johnny Underground. Fetch out no shroud for Johnny in the Cloud, and keep your tears for him in after years. Better by far for Johnny the Bright Star to keep your head and see his children fed. Where's my money? These definitely are scrapbooks. Like, I wondered if they were going to be more journal, but no, they're definitely scrapbooks. Warm the kitchen with thy love. Lord of the pots and pipkins, since I have no time to be a saint by doing lovely things and vigiling with thee, by watching in the twilight dawn and storming heaven's gates, make me a saint by getting meals and washing up the plates. Lord of the pots and pipkins, please, I offer thee for souls the tiresomeness of tea leaves and the sticky porridge bowls. Remind me of the things I need, not just to save the stairs, but so that I may perfectly lay tables into prayers. Although I must have Martha hands, I have a merry mind, and when I black the boots, I try thy sandals, Lord, to find. I think of how they trod our earth what time I scrubbed the floor. Accept this meditation when I haven't time for more. Warm all the kitchen with thy love, and light it with thy peace. Forgive the worrying and make the grumbling words to cease. Lord, who laid breakfast on the shore, forgive the world which saith, can any good thing come to God out of poor Nazareth? Interesting. They kind of lost their rhyming scheme at the end. But it's a poem, and rhyming schemes are allowed to change whenever they want to in poetry. Unless you're going for a very specific form. Marjorie Eggert. Staten Island. Bracelet, bomber, Spitfire, AA gun, grenade, ship anchor, medallions, letter and heart, telephone, and car. ILY. And 50/50. Post office, bank, trousers, shoes. Interesting list. I don't know. With the compliments of the accounting officer. Everybody loves the accounting officer when it's payday. I remember hearing a joke from somewhere about the large amount of poets in British Armed Forces, and it's starting to make sense now. Ooh, Air Identities. 23. Air Vice Marshal K.R. Park, MCDFC MA, Air Officer Commanding in Chief, RAF Mediterranean. I don't know all of the caricatures in this. Hi, Meridu! I assume this is Hitler, and I'm guessing that would be Mussolini just by location. So maybe then this would be the Japanese emperor at the time. But then who is that supposed to be? I don't know. I didn't know I would be trying to interpret political cartoons from the early 1940s. Bottom left is most likely Mussolini. Okay. Top right might be Stalin. Yeah, that could be, I suppose. But who's top left? That's what I want to know. It's a very, like, it's a sombrero type hat. So, I have no idea. Perils of the Trainee 7. Compass course? I always map read. Look at all the barrage balloons. I didn't know what barrage balloons were until an episode of Doctor Who, and I was like, I had the realization that all of those balloons, I just thought they were a sci-fi thing at first. I was like, look at all those blimps above London, and then one day put the pieces together that they weren't blimps, those are barrage balloons. It's odd because location-wise, it looks like he's on top of the UK. I know, Meridu. I don't know who it would be. At least Doctor Who remains a historical education show. They do still do a historical episode every season. Like a historically based episode every season. I wonder if it's Camacho. Manuel Avila Camacho. The who was the president of Mexico during World War II. But if that is the case, I have no idea why he's depicted there. That's the problem with old political cartoons. Especially these lack some context for me. So, identification 81. The nose which shrinks in wrinkle style between the Merlin horns, in truth is full of holes, a garden rose between two thorns, prepared to spray with deadly lead each riding Hunnish crew, which sights or comes within the sights of the Bowfighter 2. The Bowfighter 2. Sorry, it had a space, and I just assumed it was boeuf, which is the French word for beef, but no, Bowfighter 2. London Hanger QB? Just like a little, just kicking the Luftwaffe in the butt to get him out of there. Perils of the Trainee 5. I used to be in an air circus. It's healthy to have humor. And there's certainly some humor in here. Identification, 84. Someday when the warrior wins his reward and laurels lie thick on the newly made lord, when medals for soldiers and airmen and sailors clink gaily on civvies just drawn from the tailors, will someone remember the days of our pain and trot out a garland for the great hurricane? I don't know why, but I enjoy the caricatures of the airplanes. And especially like British airplanes. I mean, every British kid had a book that let them identify the planes in the air. They knew the specifications. They knew whether it was a British plane or a German plane, and they knew which planes it was. So caricatures of the planes would totally be something that would go over really well. Identification 88. Go slow, you hasty ones. 'Tis not a Hun. Look closer, note the lines. Put down that gun. Make your salute instead to Spitfire's beauty and praise the mods that lead to higher duty. And indeed, let us praise the mods. We love our mods. This is just... There's never enough time. This has been really interesting, though. The Red Cross scrapbook from Kentucky was really interesting. The uncaptioned just photos of German soldiers just on leave, essentially, also quite interesting. Just seeing them lounge around and be human. And then this one that's just so full of political cartoons and caricatures. It's been a lot of fun. Identification 80. From USA comes this weapon of vigor, bold in conception and modern of figure, a factor to decimate Nippon's new order, such as the B-26 or Marauder. So would you say they were experts of the planescape? Detective Zen. You need some pun points for that. Sure. You found a Polish website that has copies of some of the magazines these come from? Oh, Neoguts, that's awesome. Sadly, it is... It's time for the stream to be ending. What do you mean? You don't know nothing about it. The tied off train tracks. I don't know who the individual sitting there is meant to be. but political cartoons are their own thing, and wow, this is an interesting collection. Identification 63. This booted villain, the 115, well known among those men who strive to keep our sea lanes free from danger, to you may be a total stranger. If that is so, then do not fail to note the wing spread, mark the tail. Remember too, no gunter bite will mark it in its ponderous flight. Oh, Concilians, thank you so much for the 34-month resubscription! Ah! Yeah, so I am gonna have to wind down the stream, because it's the end of the day here, and I need to be getting ready to go home. But we will be, of course, back again next week for more from the archives. Next week is the final Wednesday of the month of February. And for 2024, final Wednesdays mean something from the speculative fiction collection, the Heron Speculative Fiction collection. So next week we have one issue of a magazine. I'm trying to remember the name of the magazine, but the reason we have the issue is that the issue in question contains the first printing of Dianetics. So yeah, next week we're going to be looking at Dianetics. The actual thing published that eventually became the foundation of Scientology. So it was originally just an essay or story contained in an issue of Astounding Science Fiction. And we have that issue. And so we're going to be looking at that issue of Astounding Science Fiction next week. And yes, if we didn't have to deal with music copyrights, oh boy, I would definitely be playing some tunes from A Very Merry Children's First Scientology Pageant, which is a musical. I think that's the title. Something like that. But no, we'll probably have, jazz or lo-fi or something. But yeah, also there's, I also have L. Ron Hubbard had an entire book series that had a soundtrack that's actually really good tunes. But yeah, we'll be talking L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology, Dianetics, and Astounding Science Fiction next Wednesday. A Very Merry Unauthorized Children's Scientology Pageant. Yes, that is the musical. Thank you, Concilians. And then, we'll have plenty more stuff to come in future. So thank you so much for joining me. Let me see where we're gonna go. I have not looked. Presumably there is a Stephen Joy's streaming. But beyond that, I'm not certain. Ludan, thank you so much for joining. We're gonna be doing a raid here. Let's see. Oh wait, wants to... The new raid tool is interesting. Because now, instead of showing me channels I follow, it does not default to that.
It might be the...
Alright, we've got Stephen Joy's on, there's, let's see. Who else? Monterey Bay Aquarium, of course. But they've got another jellyfish cam, and I want to be kind to the people in my chat that don't like jellyfishes. Yeah. Yep, no, we're gonna head on over to Stephen again. Stephen Joyce is a joy to watch, and so I encourage you to join the raid. Stephen Joyce is a streamer based in Scotland. Has a wonderful, wonderful community, and I encourage you all to join in and come along for the raid. He is today playing a game called Boxes: Lost Fragments. So, who knows? It should be a fun time, though. So yeah, hopefully I will see all of you again soon. And until I do, keep exploring history, everybody.